On their mics. Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
We'll start with the payroll and accounts payable register.
Move to let John in remotely.
Sure. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We'll have to do a roll call vote because of a remote. Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. John can attend remotely.
Thank you.
Yep, he's there.
Okay.
Payroll was in the amount of $37,080.89. Payroll taxes of $8,452.10. We had an ACH payment to Swayze for $245,000. New Hampshire retirement $42,933.47. The rest of the AP totaled $91,625.59.
Do we need to move that?
We do not.
Great.
Jillian, the 91,000, just a little high. Was there something in there that,
Trash.
okay.
I will take a motion on the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes public minutes, non-public minutes, building permits, and a recreation manifest. There is also a fire department resignation in there, which I guess we're gonna talk about in regular business.
Moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second. Nope, you can second.
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
I'll abstain.
And I'm an aye. Move on to public comment. If anybody has a public comment they'd like to address, they come up to the mic, turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just a question. Last year, a new process was established for appointments to committees.
Mhm.
And I reread it last week, and it looks like we have to notify the select board about 90 days before vacancies occur or reappointments occur. And I think that's April 1 if we're doing the appointments at the end of June. It was a little clear. So just to let you know that that should be on something on everyone's agenda for any committee appointments that are going to be open. I know Conservation will have a couple, so just to put that in the list of things to do.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Probably.
there's a button on top.
Or
You
more.
could either sit
can
at the
use-
table
You
or-
could use that one.
Or you could, yeah, I mean,
Thanks.
Just
Mark
state your
Young, 47 Fellows Road, most of you guys know me. Not to digress too much, but I did have a couple of comments about town meeting, if that was okay. And again, I'm not here to complain about the moderator. I know it was her first time, I believe, right? It was her first time. Yeah. She did kind of move quick, but I know that type of situation is hard to manage. But I did want to talk about the police presence at the town meeting. You know, I've lived in this town for about 23 years. I haven't gone to every town meeting, but I've been to enough of them, and I've never seen police patrol a gymnasium like they're patrolling the strip at Hampton Beach. And then also noticing the police sitting up front of the meeting. Typically, you know, obviously we have an event, police, you know, usually at the door, you know, helping checking people in, things like that. But it seemed like they were out looking for trouble. And again, I don't know who would trouble be. And you guys were all there, is the end of the vote for the operating budget. And a very large gentleman got up and spoke passionately about, the shortness of time and stuff like that. And then as he was finished, or almost finished, I noticed 2 police officers walking over to him. Why? To me, that borders on intimidation. And the police shouldn't be hanging around the front of town meeting. I mean, everybody in that room is primarily taxpayers. And I don't know if this is something that the selectmen had asked the police to do, or if we just had sort of an overzealous police chief. Am I out on a limb here, or?
I think so, but I'm biased.
Yeah.
So the only time I saw the police presence at the front of the room was when the larger gentleman was yelling at the moderator.
Yeah, but they were
And-
hanging
and-
out front on the table.
And then earlier before the meeting began, there was a problem. And
All right, I wasn't aware.
that's why they were roaming around the room. But those are the only 2 things I can answer that I saw going on. I never saw them hanging out in the front of the room any other time. You were on the other side of the room. I don't know if you noticed anything. But also, Chief Doty has a very open door policy. If you have concerns, I would love you to
And
give him a call and,
And I
you know.
called his office Monday. He was out. I was going to try to come today, but I couldn't get away to see him. But I do want to chat to him about that. And again, it just, when I saw the 2 officers approach the big gentleman at the mic, that was disturbing to me. And somebody who's lived in this town for quite a while, and never actually seeing that. And again, I know how the climate is nowadays, but, I think, if I'm on the police side, is that, you kind of give people their space in a meeting like that, because, you're also dealing with taxpayers. So, I don't know. Again, it was enough to disturb me to come to a select board. So, that was it. I just wanted to say my 2 cents, that's it.
Did you want to comment, Jim, or?
Yeah, I was sitting in the front row. I understand what you're saying. I think where the issue comes in my eyes, was that the moderator had asked that gentleman to calm down and, be a little bit more civil, and he really was very passionate. I understand that, but at the same time, she did ask him several times. And I think that's where it came in, and probably the police officers were just there. I mean, he is a pretty big guy, and so they probably just wanted to, let him know to calm down, and hopefully it wasn't going to escalate any further, right? Sometimes, we've seen on the news, many times that things can escalate pretty quickly, and I think they just wanted to put a squash to it, is all.
I mean, I thought the same thing, but, also having the police approach a gentleman makes things escalate as well. So.
Yeah, and like Andy said, I would definitely, reach out to Chief Doty and have that conversation with him, and maybe get his input on, what he was looking at from his standpoint,
My sense, Mark, is that I know the individual very well who you're talking about.
I don't know that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
who's a really, good guy. I've
Mm.
coached, baseball with him, really good guy. But, under the circumstances, I felt as though he did get rather loud to the point where it almost seemed, a bit menacing and out of character for what I would have, expected from him. And, in terms of the, approach, I mean, it was just an approach that seemed like there was a fairly significant distance between, the officer and, that gentleman. So it wasn't like they went up to him, touched him, or
Oh, no.
even got close to him,
obviously
for
not
that
but
matter.
They walked enough towards him, so.
Yeah, to calm the situation.
Yeah.
And that's how I viewed it. So,
Okay,
but I appreciate it.
yeah, all right, I don't want to waste any more time. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, Michelle Sudit. I wanted to, just a couple of things. I wanted to reiterate my request to you all to, at town meeting, I had mentioned that there are people in town who probably have a pretty good handle on IT and that kind of computer software stuff. And I think it might behoove the board to hit those people if you would. I also wanted to thank whoever it was that put together the annual report this year. It was very well formatted. It just looked a lot, I'm sure a lot of work went into it, so I want to thank those who were involved. And then the last thing I wanted to do is just to hand out a flyer to each one of you directly to attend the Brentwood Gathering on April 3rd.
It's already in my calendar.
Mine too.
Mine 3.
It's a great thing that you're putting together. Thank you.
And if you'd like to send Andrea any of your suggestions of IT people that you're thinking. Everybody wants to talk to us tonight.
Your popular crew. Just FYI,
What's your name?
Stephanie,
What's your name?
Doug Finnan.
He's never done this before.
I know, it's his first time. We'll be gentle.
Just an FYI, when we have committee updates this evening, Stephanie Kiza, I believe, is going to be here. She'd like to speak on behalf of a grant that she needs an answer to this evening. So if you'd give her a few minutes, I'd appreciate it. I don't think she's here yet, but I anticipate she is going to be here. Thank you.
Janice?
Janice Weirs, speaking from the library as the library director. I just have 2 things. One, I wanted to follow up on something that was, I guess, a concern at town meeting. I wanted to provide more information and clarification on something. Somebody had suggested that our work was not done on the amphitheater because it was not ADA compliant. I did contact our engineer, and he said it is ADA compliant. We have been using, myself and others on my team, have been using the wrong term. It's actually not considered a ramp. It is considered a sloping sidewalk. And as such, the linear slope cannot exceed 5%, which is actually less steep than an ADA compliant ramp would be. It also mitigated the need for a landing and handrails. So I'm going to reach out to that gentleman individually. I do know who he is, but I just kind of inform you as well in case there were any concerns following that.
I hadn't seen any evidence of it not being compliant, so.
Right, and I don't know if it's because there's no landing, if there was an assumption. And again, I take full responsibility for the fact that we've been using the wrong term. It's not a ramp, and I didn't realize that. And I think for the sake of just simplicity, our engineer team called it a ramp because that's what we kept calling it. So, but in technicalities, that's what it is. Does anybody have any questions on that other than?
Thank
good.
you for clarification. Yeah.
Thank you. And the second piece, I'm just going to read off. I don't know how many of you have seen this, but on Friday, March 13th, presidential executive order titled Continuing the Reduction of the Federal Bureaucracy was signed. This order cuts funding from the Institute for Museum and Library Services, or IMLS, and that distributes federal funding to libraries and museums across the country, including, of course, New Hampshire. We don't know at this point what the impact of those cuts is going to look like, but we do know it's going to affect some key services at the library. One of them is our interlibrary loan service. We processed 2,209 interlibrary loan transactions last year. We process about 40 requests per month for 4 active book clubs. and that allows us to obtain multiple copies of an individual title. We rely on that program almost entirely on IMLS funding. And so without it, our ability to borrow from other libraries is going to be affected. We're not not sure of the full extent of this because the actual wording is that the IMLS will be cut insofar as it keeps the statutory requirements in place. And we don't quite know what that means. The other thing, a couple other things that are affected is Libby, digital borrowing, and a lot of people do use that service. As a matter of fact, our patrons checked out 8,271 ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines last year through that service. That, again, relies heavily on IMLS funding, and without it, we may have to shift costs to the local level. So we may be looking or being asked to contribute more than our usual yearly share. The summer reading program, they provide a whole host of things, not financial, but it has an impact in that it would mean library staff would have to work more hours planning for summer reading. And then talking books for the blind, which I don't need to say more, that's just horrible. So to put this into perspective, IMLS funding accounts for 0.003% of federal funding of the federal budget, but it provides essential resources to libraries and museums that serve over 1.2 billion visits annually. And our state library here in New Hampshire receives between $1.3 and $1.5 million in IMLS funding each year, which directly supports each individual library. So my point in telling you all of this is if you value these services or you know somebody who does, I encourage you to reach out to elected officials and express your concerns. On our website are some links to congresspeople, either by email or phone. There's also a sample email that can be filled out, and there is a petition that you can sign. So I would just encourage people to check out our website. It's on the home page, and really help because we're trying to minimize taxes on a local level, and this is one thing that may cause us to either lose services or have to increase our budget. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. Move on to discussion action items. Our next agenda item is appointing a chair and a vice chair. After 17 years, I've decided that this will be my last year. So I am not going to seek appointment as either the chair or the vice chair. With that said, I'm going to nominate Paul to become chair.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Letty? John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Come
Thank
take your seat.
Something I said.
Take your kisses as well.
Welcome to the other side of the table.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on this side of the table.
So I'm sure I'm going to make some mistakes along the way, so bear with me. But I'm sure you will all let me know. But I am honored, and I am going to try to serve the public and give the public their voice at these meetings. Along those lines, we have a pretty heavy agenda for regular business this evening. Having said that, though, and I know we did have public comment at the beginning, I would like, if there are people who want to speak to certain agenda items after we've had an opportunity to present and discuss, please raise your hand, and we'll have you up at the table, as long as those are focused comments and kept to a minimum, given the heaviness of the agenda, that would be appreciated. So I'm going to open this up to the board initially and, make sure that everyone is okay with that as a procedural item moving forward.
I have no problem as long as we can maintain order.
No problem at all. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think maintaining order is the reason why it changed last time, so if y'all behave, don't cause a ruckus.
I'm also going to consider, given that we may move public comment down in the order for the next meeting, which would put it after regular business. So in case people didn't have an opportunity to speak during regular business on one of those action items, that they can then speak at the end, having that material before them. And I think, again, that was something that, Jim may have mentioned along the way. So I want to make sure people are okay with that as well.
And I appreciate that, Paul, very much. One of the things that I did hear when I was running is that there were a lot of people that felt that their voice wasn't being heard. So I thank you for allowing that to happen.
I'm good.
Okay. Letty?
Yeah.
John?
Want to vote on it, or?
I don't think it's something we need to vote on. Having said that, I would like to nominate Letty as my vice chair. I can tell you that this woman works tirelessly for this town. She just knows the numbers, the budgets, the financials, and frankly, I need her as a second hand, if you will, and I see us working jointly together, leading this board, and also having Andy, who has declared his what'd you say, 17th, 18th year?
It's my 18th year.
18th year, as this being his swan song. So his institutional knowledge is very much valued. So I would accept a second for Letty.
Second?
Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I. So I make it unanimous.
Great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can stay there or
For today I
For
will.
tonight,
For next
okay.
week I'll move over.
What? I'm gonna come grab my water bottle.
Oh,
on the
sure,
side.
okay. Oh, and your name tag?
Everything's over
Bring the lifesavers. I'm just kidding.
So the next item on the agenda is board assignments. I know that budget committee is something that is traditionally done by the chair of the board, but given the theme of trying to do this jointly, and given what Letty brings to the table, I would like her to be the liaison to the budget committee. Is everyone okay with that?
I'm good with that.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Excellent.
I think she deserves it, especially after all that she's done, for this town.
Is this a reward or
recently.
punishment?
It's a punishment.
Punishment.
Okay, just checking that y'all know.
Yeah.
And I will plan to remain on conservation. I figure unless someone else wants to take it, I could also be on the school board committee. But Andy, I want to give, being the veteran here, I want to give you your choice.
I think I will would like to stay with the library. The commute is awesome.
Yep. John, I'm assuming you would want to stay on rec?
Yeah, I guess I was planning on rec and school, given I'm the only one with kids in school.
Okay. Do you want to do school then in lieu of myself?
I mean, that's what I was on last year, so I was just thinking I would maintain that.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. That's fine, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
Letty, do you want to still do planning?
Sure.
Well, no, because we need, you and Jim need something.
Well, I'm on conservation.
Um,
I could do planning, if you want me to do that as well.
Jim could do joint loss with all the fun.
Joint loss meets once a quarter.
So would this be a good time to bring up that when I was reviewing budgets, I realized the big three departments that consist of most of our funding don't have direct select board representation?
Police, fire, and highway.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if we could have a position for somebody to check in with those people.
We can.
That's what I would like to do. Yeah.
That's yours.
Okay, great.
And joint loss meets,
Somebody available during the day, so.
Yep.
Yep.
And then what's the other one that I do that I'll keep doing?
Planning?
No. Well, yes, but no, the drill.
Seabrook rep,
I'll do that again because that's just once a year, right?
4 times, depending on the drill cycle.
Last year was just one time. We don't know yet.
As long as there's not an emergency.
Yeah. And then we're all up.
That's between you and I, Letty, for planning. I'm happy to go back to planning, also being on Concom. I mean, I know you got a lot on your plate.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. All right.
And then I know Jen was the representative on the building committee. I didn't know if Jim wanted to take that one as well.
I'll do that. That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. So I think that covers all
Yep.
the committees? Excellent. I see next on our agenda, and I'll hand this over to Letty, is tax cap issue. I'm not sure what you wanted to address
Not
with that.
issue. Nope, not issue. Don't
Okay.
call it an issue. I just wanted to review kind of where we ended up after town meeting in terms of what the total proposed operating or appropriation was. So the proposed amount was $7,217,578. The voters decided to apply $335,610 of unreserved fund balance to that. So the total impact for next year is $6,881,968. And then by my calculations, which I haven't talked to anyone official about this yet, 4% of that is $275,000. So that would bring it up to a subtotal of 7.157. In addition, at town meeting, we are allowed to raise it by another 10%. So that would be another $715,000. So the total appropriation for next year can be no more than $7,872,971, which is $991,003.
That's assuming the 4% cap, and then if,
That's the very maximum that the town can go.
That's-
I don't think the 10% applies anymore because it has to stay at a 4%. The 10% rule is now out.
from a
unless-
budgetary standpoint, Andy,
Mhm.
but I
Is that
suppose,
for the budget committee or the select board, though?
and the select board, but I
Well,
think
because the
from,
budget comes from the budget committee, technically.
Correct.
So we could recommend whatever we want, and then they have to cut it down to 4%?
Well, from what I understand on the tax cap, it's not the budget, it's the tax rate. So
It's the appropriation.
no, it's not, it's the tax. The taxes can't increase more than 4%.
Right.
So you have to figure in revenues and everything else. It's more complicated than just the 4% budget.
yeah, so and at a town meeting, the legislative body could do, what it wants to up to that maximum. I think that's where Letty may have been going with this, but
I think you would need a warrant article to
Exceed it.
exceed it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally. But just, I know that at town meeting, a lot of people were talking about a police facility. And so the bond payment for that would be included in that
4%.
top.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'd have to,
Yeah. Having said that, this is stuff that probably is, for further conversation, since it all just happened within a matter of several days ago, and we can have further conversation about that in terms of the analysis, and, we have a lot of time, I think.
oh, yeah, I just
ultimately deal with it.
I wanted to share with you kind of it up because I
Yep.
got confused. So I had to go back and watch the video to see which ones were changed, which ones came from unreserved fund balance. So I
Yeah,
thought
and I think the overview is helpful.
Yeah.
So,
And
okay.
And Letty, the check boxes here are,
those are the ones that we paid for out of unreserved fund balance, or the voters
Yep.
decided to pay for out of unreserved fund balance. The column next to that shows you how many dollars in unreserved funds they chose to use for that thing. For most of them, it was the entire amount. I don't think we did any partial,
We did not.
but it is possible to do a partial from unreserved fund balance if we wanted to suggest that in future years.
Okay. Any other discussion with regard to that? So moving on, we have our regular business and Chief Berg.
Just so everybody's aware, we've got a couple of vehicles that are in the station now that are not being used. There's a 79, let me give you a little history. The idea behind that is we were working on a grant for a vehicle, which was through the federal government. And when we came back with the federal government, who never clues anybody in till the last minute, we were working on a possible ladder truck for the town. That at the time, the state, the feds will only give you up to $1 million for a truck. Most ladders are coming in at almost $1.5 million now. And I wasn't about to walk in here and say, well, I got $1 million, can you give me another 500,000? So that got scrapped. The two vehicles that are sitting in the station, one is a 1979 Mack that we used for a tanker combination pumper. The pump has died in that. In order to fix that, it's crazy. It's not worth doing. The truck is that old. There is a plastic body on it that was put on it, I believe, in 2000. And that one is with Han. That is a engine. That truck is 1986. And it's a manual transmission, and if anybody knows, you get about 3 kids left that can drive manual transmissions. So the truck is kind of sat there. I like to take it for a ride just to remember what it's like to drive a truck, you know. But the idea I need, as we're moving ALS in here, and that happens Friday, I need the bay space.
What time Friday for the ribbon ceremony? 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock for the ribbon ceremony.
Everyone's invited.
Yes. Yeah, that's being handled pretty much by Plastow. They are coming up, and they're bringing their new vehicle up, which is not in service yet. They will be using the ALS vehicle for the immediate future. We're at least, excuse me, at least 2 weeks away from getting the brand new one in service, but it is all labeled up. It looks nice and pretty, and you're more than willing to come over and take a look at that. Like I said, that's at 2 o'clock at my station. So what I would like to do, and I'm looking for a direction out of you guys as to whether you want to sell them, but I would like to at least either take them down the town shed somewhere and drain the water, take the equipment off them, and make a decision one way or the other what you guys would like to do with them. And then I need, like I said, I need the bay space at the moment.
What would our choices be, Chief, other than to sell them?
I really can't tell you anything else. They're not anything that anybody, I think, is really gonna use in the fire service. A lot of these get picked up by people and they pick them up fairly cheap, and guess what? They go out of country. So I don't know if you take a look at the gentleman down on 125 in Kingston, he's got about 3 sitting there now. I think he's got 2 ambulances and a ladder. And they usually hang around a while until he can figure out which country he can ship them to. I think our old engine 2 went that direction, which, at the time, so.
Just-
Yeah, oh, sorry, Paul.
Just to confirm, they're not being used at all.
Then I can still use engine 4, but like I said, I don't have anybody that's gonna drive the truck. Engine 3 was out of service, but technically in service for the grant, and where the grant is not going to happen, or I've heard direction of maybe trying that for personnel or something. Don't even know whether those are still gonna even be around, because they've shut that program off too at the moment, including the Fire Academy. They've shut that off, the National Fire Academy. So I don't know where we stand on that yet, but.
Jim, go ahead.
I'll come down and take a look at them, and I can even help you bring them down if you want, because
Okay.
I can drive a stick. But the problem with the resale value is you're gonna run into the same problem. Nobody knows how to drive a stick anymore. So most likely they would be exported, and you're not gonna get a lot of money for them because it costs a lot of money to export.
Generally
So-
speaking, when you trade them in, to begin with, when you're buying a new truck,
Correct. They're
it
not
becomes a,
gonna- Yep.
you know,
But,
the dealer will give you $3,000 on paper, but he's not doing anything with it either.
correct.
So,
In my mind, anything we can get for them, we can,
Yeah.
it's us. Sitting there right now, they're not doing anything but rusting away.
right.
So,
Well, actually, they're pretty good. They're inside.
yeah, well, yeah, for now.
Take them
but-
outside.
For now,
that'd
but
be a
you're
different
you're
story.
moving them outside, so.
If
yeah.
there's any indication, Seabrook's got a Quint that's sitting in back of their station and an engine, and they've been there probably the last 2.5 years. So I don't know what they're doing with theirs.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I say move them, let's move them and let's work on getting them sold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be my,
Do we need a motion on that, or for
Motion
purposes
to
of
move them?
instructions?
I would just move them for now.
No?
No, I don't have a problem. I just didn't want to move them out of there and you guys go, well, what are they doing parked down there and not have an
Does
idea?
Wayne have them in? have
I
them
haven't
in the
talked to
shed?
Wayne yet. I'll
He should
figure
have
out.
room in that
Yeah,
shed.
we'll
One of
we'll
the
figure something out.
Okay, so you'll coordinate with
I will
Wayne?
coordinate with Jim and Wayne and we'll
Yep.
figure something out
Okay,
and get them out by Friday.
and then you'll come back to us when you have,
When we got an idea what we want to do, I think Jim's probably got some contacts that may help versus what I've got. So it will definitely make a difference that way. He'll probably get a better dollar for them than I can find for it. We'll see. All right?
no
And-
pressure.
No. Come on. Gotta make it fit in already.
Right.
resignation next on the agenda.
That would be for Keith Culligan. He was one of my lieutenants. He started out with the department. He is working full-time now in Bedford as a lieutenant, and the Munchkins come along. So he's got a daughter that's about 2, and the other one's 7 or 8 months old. So he lives in, so he has not really had the time to do it. He'd love to have stayed. I'd love to have had him, but that's the reason he's turning his resignation in, so.
Well, we all appreciate his service to the
I-
department
like I
over the
said,
years.
I do, I miss him. He was one of my real driving people going forward with it. I can't say enough about him. I wish him well where he is, and it's been great to have him. But like I said, he hadn't been around for probably the last 6 months, especially after he had his son. So he is working down in Chester, and he lives in Chester. So that makes sense to, if you gotta spend some time, spend it where you live. You know.
You do have a budget that was approved that would allow you to proceed forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions, or are we good?
I have a question.
Yes.
Have you received any resumes or applications for the lieutenant positions?
I've got one in-house. I've got one from outside, or two from outside.
Okay.
So I will put that through a quick process.
Yeah, when do you anticipate being able to do that?
Sooner the better.
Okay.
I just gotta figure out, like I said, I've got two in-house that are in, well, they're actually both in-house. One of them is working for Bedford now, but he's thinking about moving this way. He started out with us too, so he
And
would
you'll-
be, he's familiar with the town, started out with us. Great kid, willing to work hard. It would give me somebody literally, which would be good, because he'd be out for some of the calls at night that I don't have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning for.
And you're going to circle back with us on that, correct?
Yeah, I will definitely let you know what we come up with,
Okay.
but I'm gonna try to do that as quick as possible.
So then you'd need to, if the one that's in-house moves up, you need to backfill that then.
Yeah, at some point, it is what it is, but I'd rather take candidates that I know what I'm getting than I would for trying to figure something from the outside.
Oh, yeah, I want you to have all people that I want you to have a full staff.
You know, so it is what it is. There would still probably be at least one more, so I may be still sitting with 2 open spots, but we'll make that work. I got a couple of people that are young that are in-house that I might be able to fill those with. But that's part of the reason I wanted the 2 experienced lieutenants to help these kids come along and make it work. And like I said, if the one that I'm interested in lives in the area, he'd be more than willing to come out and, if he's not working himself, and help these kids out at night. So that's the idea behind trying to get a couple that are in-house or at least close.
Okay.
It's a struggle. It's gonna be a struggle. I may be back with some other things here. It's getting tough to fill shifts. I'm not even into the warm weather yet, and it's getting tough to cover people. So I may be back with something else. Not sure yet.
Have you implemented your new pay scale?
No.
That might help. Hopefully.
It'll help, but I don't know exactly where that's gonna sit. It'll keep the down that I've got around. It'll be a question of whether it's enough to attract somebody out. But there again, I'd like to do as much of this from in-house as I possibly can, because they've already made the commitment to the town of Brentwood. And if you can keep them happy and keep them with the town of Brentwood, it makes life a lot simpler than it is to take somebody from the outside.
What do you mean when you say in-house? Because you only have 2.
I've got 2 going through school.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I got actually got 4 going through school right now.
Great.
Matter of fact, they're up to class right now.
Let's keep them all.
So I'm trying to look at it from that aspect.
Okay.
They would
Tried ZipRecruiter?
Huh? Yeah. If anybody that's familiar, it's a problem across the whole state. You used to be, if you wanted to work any place that had, quote, the union label, at one point you had to be a paramedic and, all kinds of things that attracted to that, and then it dropped to an advanced, and then it dropped to a basic. The only difference being when they drop to a basic, they've got somebody that literally on a shift will mentor that person, and then that shift itself brings the person along, and they're under a year's probation. The way things are sitting with me, I don't get that luxury. They gotta hit the street running, and mine's a crash course that we try to put together, and then we try to pair them up with some people at night that are experienced to come out, but that is getting to be tougher to do. So, just to give you an idea of what's going on.
Have a liaison, here to work with, and we look forward to you circling back on. where
Yeah, I
things
will
stand.
definitely get that to
Okay.
you as soon as possible,
Okay,
and we'll figure out where we're going with that. And like I said, I wanna do it sooner the better. And I know you guys are having a discussion on the other thing tonight, so sooner I know about that too, would be better too. All right, thank you very much.
okay, thank you, Chief.
Have a good night.
Night.
Next up on the agenda is the New England Dragway. Or maybe not.
I guess it's you.
Yeah, you could,
I
you
don't
could
know.
sit
does
at the
she need
seat over
you?
there.
I think she's got it. She's got it.
But I did want to thank Chief Burdick. He is a terrific fire chief. He's always been a supporter of New England Dragway. Great guy. Too late. Already said it. Chief Bird, great guy. Always willing to help. You guys are lucky to have him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Right.
So please state your name and why you're here.
Lydia Perry, New England Dragways 2025 permit. Do you have any questions?
I think I had updated everyone on this last week. When did, 2 weeks ago? We met, the chief and I met with them, and I think we made good progress on kind of fixing some of the things that were sticking points in past years, and my understanding is that the chief is all set to move forward.
Okay. Do you want to kind of bring us up to date then on what it was that were the concerns and what, because I thought from last year that everything was okay, so it's news to me that there were some issues or concerns.
There was some communication problems. I guess there had been attempted contact that didn't go anywhere, and so we've just made sure that the chief is ready and willing to get back to you if you have issues. Also, checking in at the tower was something that you wanted to make sure people check in and out.
Have like an accurate record of when
Yep.
officers are coming and going,
Yep.
especially where so many towns are there now with filling details. and
Yep.
everything, so.
And I think other than that, there was just, if somebody is involved in a traffic stop, just making sure that they are conducting that stop out of the way of the raceway traffic, so not to block the entrance or exits.
Any concerns on the dragways side of things?
I think she just touched upon all of them, and I think we made good progress, like she said. So
Mhm.
I think we're in a good spot right now.
Well, that's
And
good to hear.
Stay in a good spot.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so the permit is to certify New England Dragway located in Brentwood is to operate from April 1st of 2025 to March 31st of 2026 for a fee of $100 in accordance with Article 9 Brentwood warrant back from 1968.
Mm.
Wow, things were a lot less back then. Operation of the dragway, subject to adequate police supervision, and in accordance with the Brentwood zoning land use ordinance, permit restricted to exclusive use of drag racing and limited to the approved 2025 racing schedule, which is attached. If anyone wants to see the schedule, if they're a big race fan, we have it. All night racing must be completed by 11 p.m. Racing in progress at that time will be terminated. Racing continues after 11 p.m. A fine of $500 shall be assessed. In the event of an emergency, the Chief of Police of Brentwood is authorized to allow the race to continue for 1 hour. And the dragway is good with that.
I think so. That's the same as yours prior. Yeah. Then we're good.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Take a roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Andy?
Going to abstain.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so that passes.
Just for clarity, I assume you're abstaining because sometimes you take shifts there.
It's a possibility.
Think you're good?
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys, for a good season.
Yep.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the chairman. Thank you. Congratulations to the town administrator. Congratulations to the staff. Thank you.
Boy, lots of good vibes today. All right. Next on the agenda is Becky, who is going to be dealing with some news that we're going to bring into public from the Conservation Commission. So please tell us about it.
Thank you very much for making a place for us on the agenda tonight. This is a repeat appearance. I was here on February 18, about a month ago, exactly 1 month ago. So I'd like to update you on what has happened since you gave approval for us to move forward and do the next step, which was to have a purchase and sale agreement drafted to review with the landowners. So I'm happy to report on that. If we have a new member of the Select Board, if anyone wants a recap of the history of how we've dealt with this project, I'd be happy to go over just a few details.
Yeah, just a very, if you can
Okay.
kind of give us like a quick outline, summary.
Okay. This property off of South Road came to our attention through a call from Dwayne Hyde of Selt. The landowners were the receipt of an unsolicited offer to buy the property. They're interested in conservation. They also have concerns about their personal situation as they downsize and want to simplify their estate plan. So after a few calls, we contacted them, and the Open Space Committee went out and looked at the property, thought it was a very good piece to protect, and we would like to pursue that. Conservation agreed with that, so we came to, after a number of meetings and steps back and forth, we did an appraisal to receive a fair market value of the property, and then we presented that to the landowners on February 12th, and they concurred with that purchase price. So we came to the Select Board to notify you that they have agreed and we would like to move forward with the purchase and sale. I can give you the particulars of the project, and I actually brought a visual aid. I've never been a teacher, but I thought I'd bring the visual aid.
And the amount of the purchase and the purchase and sale?
The purchase and sale would be $225,000. It would be funded by the conservation bond that was passed in May 22 at town meeting. This would be the second piece of that bond to be utilized. The first was the Fuller easement that was completed by December 31 of 2024. This would not be in an easement immediately. It would be a fee simple purchase to protect it for conservation purposes. And so it's a slightly different process than what you do with an easement. It's less time. A conservation easement would have taken more than a year and didn't match with what the landowners needed to accomplish this year.
So this will be part of the bond application?
Yes, it would be part of the bond application, yes.
Right, will be made for purposes of financing, and the purchase and sale agreement has a contingency for purposes of the financing.
Yes, and you have a copy, I believe I was told you have a copy of the purchase and sale in your packet. Thanks to the work of Paul, Andrea, our consultant, Anna Boudreau, town council, the purchase and sale draft was sent to the landowners on May 12, and it was returned to us signed during town meeting. It was kind of frustrating. I knew they had signed it. I got a text from our consultant, but I didn't have my computer, so I couldn't thank them. So I did that that afternoon. So it's 11.12 acres. It's right now open field surrounded by forest. It has frontage on Little River, so there's a water resource protection aspect to this. It's surrounded by the Split Rock property, which is town property used for outdoor recreation. It abuts the Stevens easement of, I think it's close to 40 acres, and it's adjacent to the Robinson easement, which is another 64 acres. So altogether,
Connectivity to it.
connectivity of over 150 acres that surround this property. So it's like a keystone in that part of conserved land in Brentwood. So I can show you for the audience.
Yep.
So that everyone can see it. These are all conserved properties that were done with the original bond 2 years ago. So it abuts the Exeter River, which is a priority area for us to conserve. The property we're talking about is down right here, This is Split Rock, this is the Stevens, this is Magnuson, this is Robinson, and then all of these other connected parcels for wildlife habitat, water protection of the Exeter River and wetlands. So it increases the block of land that's protected.
And buying it fee simple would provide access to residents? Correct.
Yes. And in the warranty deed, we would develop it would outline those specific uses.
The other contingencies in the PNS would include a site assessment.
Yes, in which we will do an environmental, phase one environmental assessment with someone we've hired, who can well recommended. And we would have to do a title search, other things. If the environmental fails, we can back out of the deal. If the bond financing does not go through, the town can also back out of the deal.
Right. And also, this is subject to the last contingency being select board approval and as well as conservation approval.
Yes.
Okay.
So I happily answer the questions. If you have not seen that, it's a wonderful piece that connects all of those other parts. It really increases the value of habitat, water protection, et cetera. So this came to, yeah, so we've been working on this since November 19 or 20. And it's been a number of steps to get to this point. So I'm presenting it to you that the landowner signed the agreement for the 225. It's the fair market value. We hired an appraiser. So we'd like to take the next step, which is to do more due diligence and just keep moving forward, coming back to you for signature once we move a little farther.
Yeah, and my thought was, and I'll certainly take any comment that anyone has on this, but my thought was to at least table this for 1 week to the next board meeting, and that way the public is aware of this, because this had previously been in non-public because of the concern that we'd get into some sort of bidding escalation,
Yes.
and at least.
We were protecting the privacy of the landowners.
And that as well.
They asked for that,
Right.
yes.
But where this is now being presented in public for the very first time, I thought it would be best to at least table for 1 week until we get to the next board meeting, in case there are people who aren't here who want to voice any concerns or dissents or approvals or whatever they may have, so we could listen to that. And then the idea would be to take a vote to move forward on the PNS and sign off on it next Tuesday.
I wanted to thank all those who worked on the PNS. This is a document that has a lot of different pieces to it, so it was important for Paul and Andrea to have part of it. But I also want to thank the Conservation Commission and the Open Space. We've walked on the property a couple of times. We've used the GIS to look at all the details. They've given time to this, so it's been a lot of work going into the background with every step that had to be taken and completed.
We'll take any comments from the audience if
The
there's.
board first.
And the board. Sorry. That's a good idea. Yes.
So I have a question that maybe we can work out before the next meeting. Even though the appropriation for this was made in 2022, we haven't borrowed the money yet. So the bond payment wouldn't be effective till the 2026 budget, which is going to affect the tax cap, I believe, I think.
I can give you a little bit more information on that. I think that Ambrose, our treasurer, presented to you the status of all the bonds that are existing. One expired on January 1 this year, so that frees up that money. But our previous town administrator had accommodated in the budgeting process one more bond to come through in '25. She had made provision for that, so the money is in the line item of the budget.
The current
Oh,
budget.
yeah,
Yes.
that wasn't the past administrator, that was Jen and I.
That was Jen, okay,
Yeah,
so that is
so
in,
it is, I remember this.
yes,
We
so
left-
there is
Perfect. I knew-
room
this
for
was
one
in the
more.
works, right?
Yes.
This is all coming back.
For that amount. Letty?
Ish, yeah.
Yes,
Ish. Okay.
yes.
My only question is, are you gonna be able to make it in time for the next bond cycle, which is?
Yes, that's why we've been under a timeline that we've had to follow through. So we've been trying to be very deliberate on taking each step in a timely manner. So the next bond issue through the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank, the deadline is April 25 for the application. I've talked to Andrea about that. We've looked at the application. I know Conservation has a page and a half to fill out, which we did for Fuller, describing the property and its advantages. And the rest is up to the treasurer giving financial background on the town. So we believe we can meet that April 25 deadline.
Okay.
And then the money, the application is closed April 25. They make their decision in June. distribute the money and notify in August, I believe, and then the money's distributed after that. So
And we set a closing date on this for the end of the year.
by the end of the
By
year,
the end of
yes.
the
If
year,
we can
but
do it a
that-
little sooner than that,
Sure.
given the owner's circumstances, that would, that's something we've talked to them about, but yes, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, and we're going to be setting this for motion next week, and
Mhm.
then at the next conservation meeting, that should be plenty of
Yep.
time before the,
We'll just keep
April
moving along
25th.
as we've done for 3 months.
So would we need to authorize the bond application by the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going to be a tight timetable, no doubt about that.
Well, I'm wondering if you can start working on that now.
Oh, we are working on it now,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
there's no reason to not get
Yep.
I agree. So if you can get that to us even sooner, that would be great.
I will get the
'Cause
piece
we have
for the application to
Every
Andrea.
other weekend, starting in April.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll move as fast as we can to meet the deadline, for sure. We've worked hard on this since November, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do we have to accept the bond if we don't, like if we put the paperwork in and we end up not moving forward? Just trying to think a way around the deadline. Like,
Yeah, because we're not gonna meet on the 22nd.
right, so if we started,
No, it's the first and third, so we'd meet on the 1st and 15th, not the 22nd.
if we could work on the application and get Ambrose and the conservation to fill everything out, sign it and submit it. My question is if we submit it, if we have to take it. Because all the due diligence may not be done by that day.
Right, no, I mean, if there was a contingency that required us to back out, we're not locked into taking the loan. So,
I just don't know
Yeah.
what's in the application.
yeah, we could always withdraw.
By the 1st.
We could always withdraw the application.
I believe so. And in working a little bit with the Fuller easement last year, I recall that the Select Board approved it and signed all the documentation over the summer and fall. I was in touch with the CELT folks and, for instance, have you completed the environmental one? And he would say, no, it's in process. Do you have your documentation report? No, it's in progress. So there was a little flexibility in that.
But
So
this is just a more straightforward. You said
it's
this
more
is
straightforward, yes.
Hopefully
Yeah,
don't get stuck on that stuff. It's just buying.
just land. Yeah.
Yep.
Paul, I'd just like to thank the Conservation Commission for their hard work on this, and also thank the landowners because this gives us the final piece to that puzzle. And, you know, they could have easily sold to a developer and we'd be looking at a much different scenario. So thank you, everybody, for your hard
No,
work.
I
Yeah.
thank the commission as well. They've done
Oh,
a
yeah.
really good supportive job, yes.
And before I get any flack about wearing sunglasses, I scratched my cornea last night, and I've been advised to not be in bright
Bright light.
light, and it's starting to give me a headache, so I apologize for that.
We would shut the lights for Jim, but then
No,
it would be
that's
dark
okay.
in here, so.
I just knew I'd get flack for it, so I wanted to make sure that I,
Yeah.
So I will follow up with Andrea tomorrow or Thursday just to see what needs to be done, and we'll keep moving on this. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Very good.
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Next on the agenda is Welfare Director. So I'm going to hand that over to Andrea.
I reached out to Susan Benoit. I emailed her. I haven't heard back from her, so I don't know if we want to table this discussion. I would like to talk to Laura at some point.
What is,
Yeah, so Sue Benoit, who has been the director, I know has been, she's out of state and hasn't been responsive, and we did get some interest.
I know that you had got in touch with her. Sorry, Jillian. I know you had got in touch with her in like December, January.
Yeah, I've had a couple of people stop by my office looking for her, and she has responded to those people. But sometimes it just takes a few tries.
Okay, so we should at least try to get a hold of her and figure out her interest in remaining as director, and if, she doesn't want to remain as director, we may have some other directions that we can go in for replacing her, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to her first.
Yep,
Where
absolutely.
she's at.
Okay.
Daphne's turn.
Daphne, you're up next.
Please, please do.
Okay. I wanted to thank thank a few people for the elections, for help with the elections. The Brentwood Highway Department, they came, they set up, they break down. They're fantastic. Doug Finnan, honestly, he even came back here with me after the election and helped me unload everything. You are really... No, I would have done that in person. Our ballot clerks, and I'm just going to read their names. Katie Coppola, Sally Finnan, Carol Belvo, Becky Dunham, Heather Gilbert, Michelle Sudit, Julie Valivas, Betsy Ibbotson, James Seavey, Heather Haggett, Joyce Kegel, Jillian Benedicts, and Kathy Began. You guys were incredible. Not only did most of you help during the election, you also helped during town meeting, which was a big deal. I was not here to hear about the police presence and the issues with that. I don't really know what the outcome of that was, but I asked them to be there. And the reason that I asked them to be there is, number one, during the election, they help us when we have to empty out the ballot boxes because everyone's watching to see what's happening. That's why we have them there. At town meeting, we have them there also watching the ballot boxes and seeing what's happening. And most of the time, I make them carry the ballot boxes too. They're not there to be the heavy. They are there to just protect the elections. I do want to bring up something uncomfortable, and I apologize up front. We have had a few complaints about during the elections that people outside were being heckled. And I did mention that I would bring it up here simply because the whole reason that we even moved the electioneering area was so that you didn't have people on both sides. People are very uncomfortable. They'd like to come into the election. We actually had somebody that went out the back door so they didn't have to walk near anybody electioneering. That's unfortunate, and I hope that that doesn't happen again. I'm just putting a bug in your ear, in the event that we do at some point sign on with SB2, I think we're going to need to get a second election machine. The election machine is fantastic, but where it does read every single ballot and then does a beep, it's a little slow. So we ended up with very long lines. Well, we had 4 ballots. If you had SB2, you would easily have 8 to 10 ballots. So we would need to possibly consider getting a second machine in the event that we did.
That doesn't sound like possibly consider to me. If that was
Well,
just 4, we'd be
don't
doubling
end
it.
up if we don't end up signing on with SB2, it's just normal 4 ballots or whatever. So that was really everything. I just wanted to thank everybody for great elections again.
Yep, thank you. I with the electioneering issue, I think it might be helpful to, because I read through the statute myself, and, it's one of those things that unless you read it, you don't necessarily know, what it is, and it may behoove us, around the next election to consider, communicating that out into the public so that there's at least some sort of education process that goes on in terms of what the rules and the laws are.
Appreciate that 100%. At the
Yep.
same time, what I'm finding is for people to log on to brentwoodnh.gov and read anything on our website is like pulling teeth. So we can certainly put that out there and see what happens.
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens, I guess, next year.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just add on to that for a second?
Yep, of course.
If we do visit SB2 next year, I think we might have to move town meeting to the high school.
Yep. Absolutely. And we would have to get buses to cart people.
Yep. So I think we should put,
We'll know that.
right, but
beforehand, so.
just to put it on the radar that we
We
need
have to
to,
put on the school's radar too.
right, we need to plan for that. If we put it on the ballot or if a petition warrant article is going on the ballot.
Because you think it'll be a turnout even more than what we had?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we were close to being
Yeah.
too many people this last Saturday. So any more would be too much.
Well, something to look into, and I guess we'll know it when it happens. Thank you very much.
COVID
you,
year, we did it,
Daphne.
and it worked very well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Daphne.
Yeah,
all your
thank you,
work.
Daphne. Great
Would you like
job.
a ca-
Really
Daphne
appreciate
and
it.
crew.
Yeah,
Yep.
really appreciate it. Okay. Block 5 security recommendations. Did you do that?
Yeah, that's me again.
Okay.
Block 5 would like to enable multi-factor authentication for all town email accounts.
Moved.
Second, it is a pretty basic security measure that there's really no reason we shouldn't have at this point, other than just the board. It doesn't cost us anything. Just I think we just haven't approved it yet.
I would also recommend that they add a 90-day or 6-month password change.
Listen, just one.
Let's start, with multi-factor.
You might as well do it all at once, and then everybody gets used to it.
I have it at my law firm, and it's something that you need to do, but it does drive me crazy. So,
I'm in
My
agreement.
my Authenticate app has like 7 different logins that, because of my job, that everything has multi-factor now.
yeah, agreed.
Any further?
Do we
John,
wanna-
did he leave?
I don't think so.
No, I'm here.
Okay, we
The,
just.
the TV just shut off.
It's fine. No, you don't have to push anything. It's fine.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts, John?
I mean, I've been arguing for multi-factor for quite a while now, so no. I statistically speaking, the password rotation is not a like security best practice from my perspective, but the multi-factor is. So I don't really care. I don't have strong feelings other than multi-factor.
Do you have your hand up on that, Becky?
No, I said it was something related to technology. I can do it in comments after.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll do that, and then I'll mention the other thing that they had. What? No, I could do it. He had sent me an email earlier this week. Should we vote on that?
Yeah,
Sure.
so
Take a motion for Go ahead, Andy.
I'll withdraw password changes if John's in the business, and statistically it doesn't.
Okay, thank you. Second, anyone?
Letty
Set.
it was a first and second over
Gotcha.
here, so.
All right, then we'll take a roll call vote. Jim?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so thank you on that.
The other thing, just while I'm on Block 5, they have been sending phishing tests out to everyone, in addition to a class that you have to take to prove that you can recognize what a phishing link is. If you don't, your email account's going to get shut off for a little bit. So take that.
The class is called Know Before,
Yeah, well, and they send you reminders saying you have to do this, you have to do this.
but Know Before is not a
That's
phishing.
funny because I thought that was fishing.
Good thing that you're gonna take the class then, because there's tricks. That's it.
I don't think I received anything about that.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yep. If you have a town email account, you did. Well, there you go.
Go fishing, Becky.
Were you next also on capital
Yes,
reserve
yep.
charges?
Mhm.
Okay.
Can you just ask Block 5 to send it out to anybody that hasn't taken it again?
How many reminders would you like them to receive?
One more.
Well,
So
if
There
Andrea
are a
can
lot of
send out
reminders going out.
something that they need to take Know Before testing, and it's not spam, it's,
Okay.
because if I didn't know what no before was from the sheriff's office, I probably wouldn't have taken it.
Right. But I think that's the point, is that you need to learn how to figure out which links are good links and which ones are bad links.
I get
Because-
so much spam a day that
Right.
Okay, we did
unless
have that.
unless I'm expecting something,
We
I
did have
delete
that
it.
security issue last year with the website, so. I think I've gotten like 6 reminders.
I took it, so I didn't get that many reminders.
I have no idea, so.
Okay, well, that's it. Yeah, I've been getting them once a week.
Yeah.
So
I
I just got one today. They come every Tuesday.
Okay.
Do they have my email?
They sure do now.
Okay.
Okay, capital reserve charges. This is kind of, I guess, just for Jillian and Andrea, maybe. Let me back up because I'll also fill you and Jim. In terms of like accounting, like moving money from capital reserves or impact fees to reimburse the general fund, the select board was contracting that out through the end of 2023, and then it was stopped getting done. I did check, by the way. I didn't see anywhere in minutes that the board was notified, unless it happened in non-public. So none of the accounting stuff kind of has been done yet. We're working on it. But one of the things that I wanted to make sure had gotten done was the things that were supposed to be paid for out of either capital reserve funds or revolving funds or just not the operating budget had been applied correctly, and I sent you something, right? It's in here. I thought I saw it.
There is something in the packet.
Okay. I don't know if we want to go through each one or if we just want to, because I think we have to approve things to come out of capital reserves, right?
Well, it should have been approved before it got expended from capital reserve.
I hear those words, but we didn't have a functioning town administrator for most of last year, so that didn't happen. And some of them did get approved out of there, but that doesn't mean that they were taken out of there.
So what are you saying, that these are all the ones that you have question about whether
These
they
are the
were
ones
approved?
I could think of that I wanted to make sure came out of the right place. That doesn't mean that. What do you mean? What? IT hardware should not come out of Wayne's budget, no.
No, right.
So yeah. Jen was kind enough to get the impact fees, finished before town meeting. The capital reserve counts are still in progress. And then the only other thing, there were 2 more that were, encumbrances, one from last year and one from this year, but I wanted to make sure that those had been correctly applied. So I guess that's a Jillian question.
So is this, is this something that we can address? You know, I mean, I had started to have a conversation with Ambrose, you know, about this in terms of, you know, making sure that those reconciliations happened and whether or not, you know, we needed additional.
Does Ambrose also do these?
Well,
These are more like accounting. Ambrose does more of the bank reconciliations.
okay.
This
all
is
right,
an accounting thing that nobody is currently doing.
Okay. So I think we probably need to have a discussion about how that gets done moving forward.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure, because I don't know how or when the 2024 budget's going to get closed out. So I just wanted to make sure that the ones for last year were done before we close out the budget.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so there was a police officer's salary encumbered out of the 23 budget into 24. Yes, I know that. This is why I think most of these would have not been something you handled.
Is this something that you can coordinate with Andrea on in order to straighten this out and bring it to us?
I am bringing it to you.
Okay.
I don't know what else you want me to bring.
All right. What do you want us to do with it, though?
I guess well, I guess if you don't want us to, so the dates on a lot of the invoices for Block 5 were,
Oh, there's a bunch.
they were in November, December. So, I don't know if we approved those or not. Because they're just on the schedule for Block 5. Like, I don't know how that's typically been handled.
I feel like we need more investigation into this before we can really do anything with it.
Tell me more about what you mean by more investigation.
So can I chime in for a second?
Yeah, please.
So I don't think there would have been selectmen approval for anything bought out of a capital reserve fund. It would have just been done if it fit into that,
Okay.
like computers, printers,
Yep, hardware.
everything would come out of the capital reserve fund that we have for IT. The AV stuff from here, that pretty much would have come out of IT too. I thought we used some of it from impact fees, but I don't remember.
Yep.
But most of this looks like all IT stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which wouldn't need select board approval because it's part of
Great.
the operations.
Great.
Is that what you're looking for?
I don't know what I'm looking. I want to make sure that these are correctly done before we close out 2024. Do you know how to?
I can't hear.
You have to turn.
Jillian.
Do you know how to move it? So like the one that I see that kind of caught my attention was the fire department computers, which should be coming out of the IT hardware fund.
I'd be happy to
If
look
it didn't,
up.
then that's going to affect whichever budget that. I think that was last.
Oh, I'm sure if it was in the wrong fire department budget line, Katarina would have let me know, for sure.
Okay.
She checks in with me every time I make an error.
Okay.
I noticed Janice has.
Okay. And then I totaled up the salt that Wayne has bought so far this year, and it exceeds what I think we encumbered into this year. I think we encumbered 45. He's at like 60. I think he's panic buying salt. So we just have to cap that at 45 towards the encumbrance and put the rest just back in the regular budget.
Yep.
Okay.
So the window deposit should have come out of the building maintenance capital reserve. And the salary going to the encumbrance line is more just a cleaning something up before we close
and
out.
I will work on that when I work on the library one that I need to straighten out.
What are we straightening out?
Kiki.
Yes.
All of her payments need to get put into BMSI, and then her salary, that money needs to be moved to the salary line, and I have to go follow a peanut trail.
You know we're talking, right, guys? Like the two side conversations are not helpful. Yeah. If you can't do it, that's fine.
I have vacation next week.
No, you will not.
What are you looking for, Letty?
I guess Andy kind of answered it. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to approve these things going towards the IT hardware fund. I don't know who else is going to check to make sure this is all done. That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, I think, again, we can, deal with that with Andrea moving forward. And,
Sure.
all right, okay. Janice?
Could you come to the mic? Well, she needs to come to the mic.
Yeah, Janice, can you come to the mic and on that, please?
I'm not tall enough. Yeah, so I was just wondering if the town audit has been scheduled. We usually are pretty much finalizing by now.
So it's scheduled for April. But
Okay.
because of everything that's been going on.
Yep.
Still straightening out financial stuff. We've pushed it out till June. It's in mid-June, so.
Mid-June?
Yeah.
Is there
Okay.
a deadline when we have to do it by?
To get the information. You can almost, bring the information up probably 1 week before they actually show up, so.
No, I mean before we have to have the audit completed.
They usually try to get, they gave me dates, and June 16th was the date they gave me. I don't think they really can go towards the fall, because that's when they usually give the report to you, is late summer, fall, so.
I just wanted to be able to plan.
Yeah,
'cause
I'll let
I've got
you
to
know.
put a lot of things together.
Nope,
Thank
that's
you.
okay.
Okay. Banners. Hi.
My name is Trisha Canty, 290 South Road. I've been working to try to get these banners going up. It's almost 10 months, and we've made a lot of progress. Just done some homework. There's about 70 to 75 students graduating this year from the town of Brentwood from Exeter High School and outside high schools. I've been working with Minuteman Press in Exeter to help me navigate this whole idea, and they've been extremely helpful. They gave me estimates for hardware for all the poles, and then they gave me estimates for printing the images. I have those numbers. I have received some donations from town, not as much as I hoped for. So there is still a difference that I'm a little concerned about. I think my initial idea was to order all of the brackets for all the students, but working again with the printing company, they say that total 100% involvement is very unlikely, so probably don't need to make that whole purchase the first year. And you can kind of purchase as we go, like if we want to purchase 25 brackets this week and they come in and we get 25 banners sold, then the next week we purchase another 25. It's a very fluid situation because you don't know how many people are going to want their images up until you send out the email and the ordering sheet. So I just hate to go and order so many brackets and we get 20 banners this year. It's just not necessary to make that purchase at the same time. So I'm super close. I have an email drafted up with the printing company to be sent out to parents through the high school. There's confidentiality that I can't contact them, and I don't have a high schooler, so I'm just walking in blind, but they've been super helpful. They've done this for other towns, and they've navigated it before. I do need assistance hanging the brackets, and I need an estimate of when that can happen and how long that's going to take, depending on when when we want to put them up as a town and when everything is delivered and ready to go. So that was something that you guys, need to plan on your own. I mean, I can work around it as long as I have what I need. So the printing company can provide everything, the brackets and the images. I think that's the best way to go. Again, they've been extremely helpful, and there's different sizes, and I feel more confident that they've done this before, and just to get everything from them.
So would it be the highway department? Would be the installation?
Yeah. What's the turnaround time on brackets?
So if we order, the sooner the better, because there's like a season for these things. So if we wait, we're gonna be waiting longer. I spoke to them today and they said sometimes it's as quick as a week. If we can make the purchase this week, we're looking better this week or next week.
My suggestion would be we wouldn't purchase brackets until we knew how many banners, and then we wouldn't hang brackets until the banners came in, and the highway would do it all at once. It doesn't seem cost effective to have them go hang brackets and then have to go back and hang banners.
Right, they would do all of that at the same time. So the images, printing the images is very quick turnover, it's like 3 days. But purchasing the brackets, if we wait longer, it's gonna take longer, or we might not be able to get as many as we need.
So what are you estimating in terms of how many brackets and what the cost is going to be?
So they recommended to go with 50 brackets, and that's $64.50 per bracket. 50 of those is $3,225. And we also, when I spoke to Karen and Jen, we were gonna try to either cover the banners for the first year to kind of start it off with a bang and, you know, just emphasize how beautiful it looks and what it adds to the town. But the printing company would like a minimal payment with order. It's kind of how they get their permission to use the image and post it, is through like the sale and the price.
So are we paying for the brackets and then the kids or the parents of the kids are paying for the banners? Is that how it's going to work?
So I was told that the town would pay for the brackets, and I have received donations to offset the images for the parents.
How much is it per flag or per banner?
So each banner is, so it depends, the more or less it goes up a few dollars. If we buy 70, it's less.
Sure.
So 50 banners is $41.50 per banner. So that times 50 is $2,075.
And how much have you raised so far in donations?
So as of right now, I have $679. And
But you said you haven't reached out to the families yet?
I have not.
Okay.
That's just donations from a GoFundMe page and just like donation buckets throughout the town. I was hoping to keep the banners at about $20 per order for the parents. And then that also allows the printing company to get their permission for doing this. And that was the number that they recommended. So I'm a little off from what I have right now. I still have reached out to several businesses to see if they want to donate. So the difference with the brackets and keeping the images $20 for the parents is about $3,621.
Hold on. Including the brackets?
Yes.
What about just the banners?
Just the banners. So it's $2,075.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I just have to go backwards. So it's for purchase of 50 banners is $2,075. If the parents contribute $20 per banner, that's a deduction of $1,000. So you're at $1,075. And then I have $679 to contribute from donations.
That number
So we're
went
at
up
about
because
400.
I got your email today and I
Yes, thank
responded,
you.
yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
So that's like $405. I did that math in my head. That's pretty good.
Okay. I think we could raise that. I mean, I think
Yeah.
if the community had a number that you were aiming for towards that, you could do it. So I think moving forward, asking the parents to pay $20 sounds good to me.
Okay.
What is your plan to reach out to people to try and make up that difference outside of just specific emails and things? Do you have any?
I do not have a plan of action.
Okay,
I do not.
okay.
I just have reached out to businesses that I'm personally connected with through town, and some word of mouth. So, I mean, we're not far from it. What did I say? 400-ish.
So we're pretty close.
When you send out the email to parents, maybe you could also offer for them to pay for the full cost if they wanted to.
Okay.
Which would then allow someone else to maybe get a subsidized one.
Thank you for reminding me. That is a line in the email. If you'd like to donate or sponsor another, or if you aren't able to afford, please reach out directly to me and then I will work on that. So I guess the 400 is my difference right now, but then if people reach out and need assistance, then I'm still in the negative even more. So I want to pull the trigger as long as you guys are okay with it, but there is a small difference there.
And do you have approval for the polls?
I do have approval, yes. I had gone out and counted the polls and sent the information to Karen because the polls are like numbered or lettered. So I did starting and stopping. I think we start right past Lindy's on that side, and then we end, just past Swayze. I think it's a couple polls just past Swayze on the right-hand side. And I think the electric company approved that. That was my understanding.
Yes.
That was my understanding through Jen and Karen.
I think Becky had a question.
I just have a question. We put up the flags on things that are already there. How are these going to hang? Because those flags are probably at the height that you're going to put the banners. So I just don't know how two different flag and a banner are going to work. Just my question. Just knowing how they hang out.
I'm assuming they won't go at the same time, will they?
Well, the height, how would you
Oh, but they're not going to be hanging at the same time.
go up? When would
Yeah,
these be put
yeah,
up?
it would be the end of the school year. So,
Memorial Day.
I mean, we could, and depending on how many orders we get, we could do one banner, one flag, one banner, one flag. We would have to work around the brackets that are already on the poles. Or we could see if banner's higher and the flag is lower.
Or whatever, or one side, other side, something.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we just don't do flags on those poles then. At least for the time that the kids are up.
How long were you envisioning the kids to be up for?
I think it's just about 2 months, the end of the school year and then, whenever.
I'm
the
assuming there'll be enough polls for flags and kids.
I mean, there's plenty of poles. I just
Okay.
didn't, it all depends on how many poles we need to use.
Right.
Okay.
And how, if the electric company is really stern on that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we already have permission to use the poles for the flags. So we're just changing bracket, which is not going to be a permanent bracket, so we're not damaging the poles.
So you're looking tonight for authorization up to like 3,600? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's about 3621, and that would all be paid to Minuteman Press in Exeter.
Okay. And I believe we were looking at doing that through one of the lines. Yeah, general government expenditure line. Letty?
Oh, you're asking me? You're asking me?
I'm pointing out to you.
Let me look at the lines.
And if there's any overages on this project, Minuteman has said that they will just roll them into the cost of the banners next year. So that there will be another reduction for the parents for their images next year. And once the banners come down, the parents are welcome to keep them.
I would, I guess, put it under building improvements. It's not really a building improvement though. But that's the closest one. I mean, it's
Can-
kind of a building improvement.
Can we create a new line?
Of course we can. What do you want to call it?
Community outreach or
So
betterment or?
we might have that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can create a new line. We could put it wherever.
Okay, and the funds to go in?
Community assistance, there's a community assistance line in the welfare department.
That's,
I
No.
know,
no, that's,
Yeah,
I know. Just looking for
should go
lines.
under general government somewhere.
Okay, I mean, we can make a line. That's.
And I just want to be clear that the number that I gave you is a fluid number, because if we don't have 50 orders,
Mhm.
the parent cost will be significantly less, so that the difference would be more.
And I think that's, Paul's motion was up to, so if the bill doesn't come to that, then the town just pays whatever.
Pays the difference. I mean, that's what I'm estimating, but if we sell more, then we're
Right,
looking
yeah.
at less. If we sell less, then we're looking at a little more.
Yep.
And if donations come in, then everything is less.
If you can,
Town event.
reach out to me tomorrow. I have some ideas on how I could help you raise some money for that, so.
Okay, great.
Make up the difference, yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
I know we're so close, and everyone's been so positive and just so excited to like see them. It just brings like such a, nice look, and especially with Lindy's and the school, I think it'll look really nice.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a great project.
Thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will send out the email through the high school this week for ordering.
We want to make a motion. I was suggesting up to 3,600 if someone wanted to make a motion, and if you found the line or place where to
Yeah,
do
no,
it.
I found where it would go. Moved.
Okay, out of which,
The town events line.
okay, perfect.
Yep, works.
I'll second that with a little add-on that we don't remove all the flags. We can do every other, but
yeah,
we need to keep the flag
Oh,
up as
absolutely.
well.
What if we don't have enough room?
We'll have to go further out.
Can you do a flag on top and a kid on bottom, or is that?
I don't
not-
think
is
there's
that not
enough room on the
appropriate?
pole.
We just
Oh.
worry about traffic
Okay.
hitting,
Yeah, the trucks and stuff.
hitting things.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can feel it out, see how it fits.
I mean, this is all question mark until
think
you
every
actually
other
find
would
out
be
how many
better.
kids, right?
Right. It might not be an issue if we only get 25 students.
Yeah, let's see what we get, and then those are details that we can figure out. So,
Okay.
So we have a motion. I'll,
Aye.
Jim? Andy? Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, should I send the email for purchase to somebody, or should I just move forward and how do I?
When you get a bill
Yeah, Andrea?
to us.
Okay,
Yep.
So I'll tell you what
Yep.
line.
okay,
Would you like-
thank you.
Let me tell you what line to put it on.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. One item not, yep, on the agenda, and thanks for being so patient, Stephanie. Yep, come on up. Yeah,
Thanks for letting me squeeze in. I know it's a busy night.
Yep.
Do you want me to just give like a quick overview? Of
please,
what
because I think this is
been up
new
to?
to most of us.
Okay, so back in, I think it was November, I brought to the attention of the planning board several grants that have been on my radar. Through my work, I work for a civil engineering consulting company. I had recently put together a memo of upcoming grant programs for one of my clients. And so I just kind of had them fresh in my mind and shared the list with the planning board just of some potential grants that could help the town. And we discussed it. I think it was John John got involved. He's on the planning board, but he ended up linking me with the town's grant writer. And we met and went over the list and identified a specific grant that we thought we had a good chance of potentially winning funding for. And so this grant program, it's a federal grant program it's called the U.S. Rural and Tribal Assistance Program, pilot program. And the purpose of this program is to fund rural transportation projects and in tribal areas too. And per their definition, Brentwood is classified as rural, so we would qualify. And so we started working towards putting together a grant application. I believe the grant writer had talked to the previous town administrator about it. I wasn't part of those conversations, but as far as I knew, we kind of had the green light to move forward with it. And what we're seeking funding for is a feasibility study to look into different alternatives to connect key town destinations. And the idea for this came out of the Plan New Hampshire charrette that was conducted a couple years ago. One of the key wants that was identified was connecting town destinations like the school, library, rec center with bicycle and or pedestrian accommodations, because there are none today. Additionally, part of it would be also focusing on the rec entrance and how to cross 125, both for bicycles and pedestrians, but also better access for vehicles too, because that was another concern that was raised a lot at the charrette. It's just people don't feel comfortable or safe turning into or out of the driveway there. So the idea is you would get funding to hire a consultant to do a study, look at different alternatives, evaluate the alternatives based on several metrics like safety, constructability, cost, right-of-way, environmental, utility impacts, and ultimately come up with a preferred alternative. Part of the process would be public input, probably some type of workshop, potentially more than one, maybe surveys. There'd be a little bit of flexibility in the scope between the consultant and the town if it were to go forward. I guess some key facts for you guys to have on your radar. This grant program, there's no local match requirement. So if the town were to receive the funding, there'd be no commitment from the town to fund any part of it.
So does that mean zero? Like we'd have no obligation at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also submitting the application, there's no commitment involved with that. If the grant were to be awarded and the town ultimately decided they weren't interested in pursuing the project, they could decline. It's really just submitting it to see how it goes at this point. And I know there's been some concern about, strings attached with grants. You could be on the hook for spending money later. I just want to kind of reassure people that say we were to win this grant, do this study, come up with a preferred alternative, what I assume would be the next step would be to pursue another grant to move forward with the preferred alternative selected, the design and construction of that. And the type of grants currently available for that type of project, there are often local match requirements. So that would have to be a discussion at that point if the town wanted to pursue something like that. And ultimately, if that step was taken before anything was committed, there would need to be, I assume, a town meeting vote or something like that. So this current grant, bottom line, no financial commitment from the town. Sure. You have a question?
I do. Weren't these very subjects addressed in the charrette already?
So there were some preliminary concepts developed, but they were very high level. And I would advise if you want to pursue getting grant funding, you need to take it a step further and look into, explore all the options. Because what came out of the charrette was really just a sketch of potential routes, but not looking into what exactly you would put there. Would you put a sidewalk? Would you put a bike lane? Would you put a shared use path? I think this study would go into a little more detail, and that would be helpful to move forward with.
So what would be the opportunity for public involvement, because I understand that there's some timing with regard to making this application, but I'm concerned about what, we would have for opportunity for public involvement and moving forward.
Sounds like the involvement would come after we get the grant. Is that
Yeah, if we were to win the grant, there's a large public involvement component to the study. I would recommend supporting applying for the grant now because the grant application period opened this afternoon, and it's a unique grant program where it's first come, first serve. So if you were to say, wait a couple weeks and mull over if you want to submit the grant, you're most likely not going to get any funding because there'll be several applicants in before you. It's up to you all though. I would recommend submitting it and seeing what happens and then engaging in the public process that's part of the study. We're seeking $300,000 for the study.
So just Steph, this is John, just to kind of like just ask, I guess, the question. By submitting this now, we're really just keeping our options open in order to determine if we want to move forward, rather than if we don't submit it now, we're kind of closing the door on $300,000 for the town.
Yeah, essentially.
I would like to make a motion that we apply for the grant. It's crazy not to.
I see no downside. Even if people aren't in favor of the idea, there's an opportunity to decline it if we win.
I don't understand why people would not be in favor of figuring out what, if any, good transportation options there are at no additional cost to the municipal taxpayers.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, in recent years, there are a lot of federal grants available for transportation projects, and unfortunately, towns like Brentwood that have limited resources and staff don't often get a chance to take advantage of them. So, whenever we can grab one,
Thank you, Steph. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Jim.
As far as I know, I've heard that that the state is planning to continue the widening of 125 up to 101. Eventually, I don't know when that's going to happen, but from my understanding, that is the goal of the state. That being said, there will be a middle lane turnoff. So I don't see the need for it, but that's all.
Yep.
It's not going to cost us anything, though.
Well, it's
Any other discussion?
My only question would be, where 125 is a state road, would the state accept the recommendations of the study?
Yeah, can you maybe address the interplay between the state and how this would work?
Yeah, so a lot of times these type of projects that cross or include state jurisdiction, they're initiated at the town level and ultimately accepted on the 10-year plan program, and the state becomes involved and either runs the project themselves or works with the town for the town and their consultant to run it and provides oversight and does reviews. So, I mean, it's not a guarantee that they'll be like, yes, we love this idea, but it's not uncommon for this to be the initial step for this type of project.
At the charrette, wasn't there somebody from the DOT who specifically spoke to safety concerns, both for pedestrians and vehicles?
Yeah, a lot of this idea came from him directly. And he runs that program at New Hampshire DOT for local projects.
Any other discussion? Okay. Ready to take a vote?
I'm a no.
Andy?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Right, and I'm an aye, so that passes. Again, I think there's no harm here in doing so, and that if, you know, it so happens that we do get this, then it would be my promise to put this out into the public and make sure that this is properly vetted.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yep.
support that. Thank you.
Okay. Before, oh, we have committee updates. Jim is not on any.
Yeah,
yet.
he is. Yeah, he is. He had one today.
Oh.
I did have one today, as a matter of fact. Thank you, Letty, for having my back. Since time is I met with the building committee today for the proposed police and/or town offices committee. And since time is crucial, we're asking the board to allow the town administrator permission to post the RFQ for the new police station plans once it's finalized, with the release date of April 1st. So we need this approval from the select board to give the administrator the approval. Do I have that correct?
So do we have a motion to do that? Is that what I'm hearing? Or?
That's his
Yes,
motion.
that's a motion, yeah.
I'll second it.
All right.
Okay.
Any discussion on that? Jim?
I'm an aye.
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 John?
Aye.
I'm an aye, so you have the approval for that? Okay, once the RFQ comes your way?
Now, this is also your time to bring up anything you have on your mind that you want to discuss with the board.
Anything.
Well, I would just like to thank everyone for the acceptance, and I look forward to serving the town for the next 3 years. And I thank the townspeople for their vote of confidence.
Andy?
Did you get the email I sent you on the local government class?
No, I did not.
All right. Can you send them there's a local government official class that's pretty good for anybody in this seat to take.
Okay, good. Yep.
It's either in person or remote, run through New Hampshire municipals.
Okay.
Besides that, I don't have anything.
Letty?
I don't know. No, I don't think I've had any meetings. And I guess, planning board's tomorrow or Thursday, so I guess that's you.
Thank you.
And then I think the first budget committee meeting is the 7th, so I'll be able to update you on that.
Planning board's on Wednesdays?
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday.
Day
Okay.
after,
Okay.
this week.
I thought you said tomorrow.
I forgot what day it is, so.
Okay. John?
Nothing for me.
Okay, and we had conservation. I don't know if you wanted to address anything from there. I think the big news we've already presented. We did have a nice presentation at the conservation.
Green Snow on May 14. The group that from UNH will present the conservation, the Green Snow program, which is a way to be more environmentally prudent in the use of salt during the season.
It's 8 o'clock, everybody.
Save us money, so they are doing the presentation. All the town boards and volunteers are going to be invited. It'll be starting at 6 p.m. on the 14th of May. You want to give an early notice.
Yep.
We have equipment that can serve that process, but we need training, and right now there's one development in town that requires green snow as a way to deal with snow and ice. And I think that's around Mill Pond.
Yep.
So we should be trained and looking forward to using that because we're already expected to use it.
Wasn't the developer supposed to pay for that certification?
Well, until we're approved of all, yes.
Until we take over the roads. Then we have to do it.
If I remember it, I think Highway took that class last year.
They did.
Yes.
They did.
Yes. Yep. We had a good presentation also from DES on mitigation of,
Aquatic,
yeah, from water.
aquatic resources mitigation. So if a project that has an impact on wetlands occurs in a town, you can apply to the mitigation fund to access some of the money that's been set aside by the developers
Right.
to a project.
And it's not insignificant money.
It's not insignificant money.
Yep.
And Heather Dudley Tatman, Rob Wolfchuck, and I are meeting on March 31 to develop that list so we can follow through on that. There's no existing shovel-ready list for that right now, so we're going to pursue that because the deadline's coming up. I think it's end of May to apply for something.
I think
Andy.
only one of our plow trucks right now has the equipment on it.
Correct.
Only one. But that's good to keep in mind as we replace plows.
Andy.
Two things. Just as chair, please remember that the audience, the public can't hear YouTube if the people aren't sitting at their mics.
Okay.
And while we're on conservation, is conservation gonna do anything from the fallout of the dam removal vote by Exeter?
That's a good
Can you
question.
come up to the microphone,
Yeah, come on,
please,
coming up
Becky?
to the mic so people can hear. Yep.
Becky Dunham, Chair of Conservation. Yes, we were anticipating that the vote would pass, and at our last meeting, the issue was raised because the presentation 3 months ago was Andrew Fisk from American Rivers. We expected that this would go forward, but he has offered to work with us. His advice is to stay involved in the process and do as much lobbying and involvement to have an impact on how this grant moves forward. There's still going to be a phase of permitting and public information, so they don't expect this work to begin until till 2/27, I believe. So we have to get involved, a communication with Exeter. We have offered before to be a part of this process. They declined. But I think to lobby that we should be involved because it impacts only our land.
And I think the idea is that I don't see us being able to stop the
No.
process, but
No.
I think being involved in the process for the purpose of mitigation.
Yep.
And getting as much
Yep.
mitigation as we possibly can.
Exactly, exactly. And to just be on top of the process. And Andrew Fisk has offered to work with us on that and give some advice.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Andrea, did I miss any other regular business?
No, I think you're good. Oh, this we didn't, I'm sorry. We received a bill for Brentwood newsletter. We just need authorization to pay that. There may have been a question about it, but.
A bill from the newsletter for $4,704.55 for issues February and March. Was that 2 issues, Jim? Okay. Just to repeat, this is the last one for the year, 2 issues as indicated by Mr. Hazar.
That's not how our budget works, though.
How so?
Our budget runs January to December.
But this may have been from when we had approved it? Yeah.
Okay. I just was wondering what year we do, that's all.
Well, you're gonna apply it to,
I would apply it in
This
in the year, yeah,
yeah.
in the same year.
The
Yeah.
issues came out in January and February, so.
Yeah.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Did we check with the departments? Janice, you good? Your stuff get published the way you asked for it?
I can't hear anything.
Janice, sorry, he can't hear you.
So Janice from the library. We don't submit news. We have our own newsletter.
Oh, great.
And the only thing I have noticed, I had a trustee bring to my attention, I wasn't looking, that the date for the trustee meeting, that we've changed it from a Monday to a Wednesday. That hasn't gotten updated, but that I would not put on the newsletter. It's not something that I, I didn't
tell
submit the,
them.
yeah,
Yep.
I didn't tell them,
That just
so,
happened.
my only thing would be saying going forward, maybe just check our calendar, our public calendar, but that's not their fault, so I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And has anyone heard anything from rec at all?
Nope.
No.
Okay, take a vote. Jim? Oh,
We printed the rec for the last 2 months. Whatever he sends in his whole page, it's not edited.
Yep, I'm just verifying that for the public.
I'm an aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Abstain.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so take that for payment. And any other regular business? Okay, so I think at this point, we want to go into, non-public for personnel.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yep,
Personnel and
thank you for coming.
hiring.
Yep, good night. Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Personnel and hiring, right?
Personnel and hiring, yep.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call. Jim?
Aye.
Letty?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right, take 5 minutes.
Yeah, we
Becky, do you want to take your,
have to leave the microphones on.
didn't you have a, oh, you have it. Okay.
My camera is on, Letty, but I don't know why.
You know how the TV auto shuts off sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
It stops the YouTube feed.
Can you turn the